still remains within the sound.
The round of 12 is over. The round of 8 is coming. Martinsville, my favorite track on the entire circuit, well, between that and Homestead, is coming as well, so I'm very, very excited. But we have to review the Kansas race, so let's talk about it. This race was just very uneventful. If you watched, you kind of know what I'm talking about. The race followed a path, and it just didn't diverge from it that much, other than one key mistake at the end on pit road from the leading driver. It didn't really do much. The entertainment value was not that high. The risks or the playoff implications as well, it never felt urgent to me. Which is why I think when we use this format, which is very heavily based for entertainment, Talladega needs to be the cutoff race, because Talladega would have provided more elimination entertainment than this one. But that's just not in terms of the race itself, in terms of the intensity or the vibe of the race. At the beginning, the Fords were really strong. It was Harvick, it was Blaney, it was Keselowski doing what they had to do. Truex was on the outside looking in terms of the cutoff line at that moment, because Truex was not running well. He was running around 10th, but that's not good enough when Blaney is up towards the front and getting points on him. And as the Fords were up towards the front, like I said, the race just followed this very normal path. The racing was solid. I mean, Kansas is becoming a track that is pretty good. You know, the high line and the bottom, you can use kind of both. Mainly the high line gets pretty dominant when you're in a day race, and you're just trying to go up there because of the progressive banking. But the cars were not able to get too spread out. They were just able to get close to each other. The dirty air was affecting guys when you got to like 5/10 or 4/10, but you were able to run someone down and then try to maybe run a lane lower and get to the quarter panel and maybe do some solid racing. So the racing wasn't bad at all. It's just through stage 1 to stage 2, even the final stage, it just not much changed. So Harvick was always usually up towards the front. Truex was always trying to battle from 10th place and trying to get up there as well. And there was no real incidents. There were no real playoff implications for a lot of drivers. Alex Bowman did hit the wall earlier in the race, but it didn't affect his car that much. He was still running in that 8th place area, as he was pretty much all race, but you kind of knew Alex Bowman wasn't going to get up towards the front to win. The most intriguing story of the race was probably Kyle Larson, as he came from the back to the front, and it took him pretty much all race to get up towards that front area, and took all the way to the final stage for him to maybe mount a comeback to win the race. But again, you never really truly thought Larson had a car to win. So you had these guys like Kevin Harvick, who was just mainly up front most of the race, and the most compelling story there was that Ryan Blaney was trying to get around him for most of the race. Joey Logano was up there as well, leading a lot of the race, but he was already clinched in at the end of stage 2. So not a lot of just, I would say, playoff intensity going on, because the guys who needed to win weren't able to really be up towards the front to win. For example, Brad Keselowski had to go off path a lot during the race when they realized they didn't have the car to win after a missed pit strategy call at the end of stage 1 that dropped them back. They didn't have the speed to get up towards the front, so they would just stay out as long as they can, and there was no cautions falling in between the stages where it would really benefit them. In the middle of the race, Kurt Busch, who was pretty much going to be almost a lock to get into the next round, has an uncontrolled tire penalty, drops him back to around 29th. Now he has to fight his way back up into the top 20, the top 18, just to make sure he's safe. Now, Kurt Busch for the rest of the race was hoping for a caution, never get one, but just from the sole speed of his car, he was able to get back into that top 18, top 17 area to secure himself into the round of 8, because Truex was not able to really run up towards the top 5 and get stage points. Brad Keselowski wasn't able to get any stage points, and he wasn't able to win the race. Ryan Blaney was dropping back, and he was losing points. So as I said, the playoff implications were not that high. But what was going on at the front of the field was pretty interesting, because the lead never got out to a massive amount. I don't know what it is about Kansas. I watched the Xfinity race for the first time in a while, and I saw John Hunter Nemechek and I think it was Daniel Hemrick, and they were always just so close to each other, you know, 4/10, 5/10, 3/10, maybe a second. It would never really get farther than that, though, for most of the race, and it was kind of the same here. If Harvick was leading, or if Logano was leading, second place was like 7/10 back. When Chase Elliott gets up towards the front at the end of the stage, or the end of the final stage, you know, he's running in third and running in second. and he's matching Harvick, but he's like 7/10 back, and he wouldn't lose ground, but he wouldn't gain ground. And I think it's something with Kansas. I don't know, but it just seems pretty nice to see that the leader was never really get out of the way. So the battle for the lead was always intriguing, especially when guys like Larson in the final stage was trying to get all the way up there. But when final round pit stops came around, Kevin Harvick, who was in the lead, Chase Elliott, who was in second, and usually something goes wrong for Kevin Harvick on the final pit stop. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's an uncontrolled tire, maybe it's losing time on pit road, or it's a loose wheel. Something usually goes wrong, but this time it's Kevin Harvick's fault, and he gets caught speeding in section 4 on pit road. So Harvick basically gifts Chase Elliott the lead, and Chase Elliott has a 3-second gap on Kyle Busch with 55 laps to go. And as the race goes, it never feels like there would be a caution. It just played out in a natural way. There was no real surprises. So as Chase Elliott is in the lead, Kyle Larson is in third, trying to run down Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott, so he has to win to make it to the next round. And Kyle Busch is closing in on Chase Elliott. He gets to that range, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, but he's never able to get to Chase. When you get to that area behind another car, the dirty air takes effect, and since everyone's at the top lane, it's gonna bother you. Even though Chase was running a lane off the top, it was still affecting the front end of Kyle Busch just from the wake of the air coming off the back of the car, how those cars are skewed out a little bit. So they just take up more track, they take up more air, and once Kyle got to like half a second back, just wasn't able to get to him. While this is happening, Truex is able to somehow salvage a decent run. He's able to make it to the next round. Clint Bowyer is running in around 13th or 12th, and he's just hoping there's really no cautions just to go green. So is Kurt Busch. They're hoping for the same thing, all because Ryan Blaney, who was running first or second or third most of the early part of the race, he fell back after hitting the wall a couple times. The handling of the car changed, and he was starting to fall back, and Ryan Blaney had to be up in the top 3, had to be able to score as many points as possible in order to move through. And once he started falling back, it looked like the playoff situation was set in stone, and Chase Elliott comes around and wins at Kansas. It's his 3rd win of the season. I've been saying when he gets one, it's going to kind of steamroll from there if Hendrick improved his speed. And it seems like Alan Gustafson has found speed. Not Hendrick in general, but Gustafson and the 9 team. This has happened for the last few years. It happened when Jeff Gordon was in the 24 as well. Back in 2015, when Hendrick really started dipping, Gordon made the Final 4 by finding a little bit of speed in the final round. Chase Elliott, throughout his short career, has found speed in the playoffs. Just because Alan Gustafson and that team is able to find speed at that round. Or maybe they're just sandbagging. You never know. I wouldn't say they're sandbagging. You need to win a lot of races, or you want to win a lot of races. So they just naturally come along at the end of the season. And now Chase Elliott with 3 wins, with Brad Keselowski getting knocked out of the playoffs, Chase Elliott is in the so-called 4th position to make it to Homestead. It's Truex, Kyle Busch, and Harvick with the most playoff points, but now it's Chase Elliott who's sitting in 4th. And if he just has... hey, you never know. He could win Martinsville, and, he's in the Final 4. So now he's becoming a realistic shot at getting to Homestead. Not yet for the championship. We're not going to say that. But realistic shot at getting to Homestead. So before we get to the full race results, let's look at who's into the round of 8. You'll see here it's Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Truex, Elliott, Bowyer, Logano, Busch, and Eric Almirola, and the points are to the side as well. So like I said, Chase Elliott's in that 4th position now. Bowyer and Logano are right on his heels, so is Kurt Busch. Now that race for the 4th position is really on. Since Brad Keselowski did not make it, he would have been in that 4th position. He would have been the guy with the advantage with the playoff points, but now Chase Elliott is. And now it's kind of like a fair fight between everyone. Eric Almirola is starting with a little bit of a deficit, but with stage points that can swing either way. And if Truex doesn't pick it up in the next few rounds, you never know. Because Martinsville is a short track, you never know what can happen. You could get involved in wrecks, or tempers can get really high, as you could say from last year. It depends on what's going to happen. To the race results, Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Eric Jones, Martin Truex Jr. round out your top 5. Keselowski, Blaney, Logano, Bowman, and Eric Almirola round out your top 10. And then from there, Austin Dillon, Harvick, Bowyer, Hamlin, Newman, Buescher, McMurray, Kurt Busch, David Reagan, and Stenhouse Jr. round out the top 20. And then the rest of the results... And you can see here, like I said, just the race there was no real surprises. I mean, everyone kind of finished where they should. Suarez had the issue very early on the race, getting into the wall that gave Alex Bowman some damage. He finished in 24th, Bubba Wallace 26th. He's really been struggling lately. He needs to kind of pick it up. I know the RPM car is not the greatest, but got to do a little bit better than that. William Byron blew an engine earlier in the race, but he wasn't really making any noise either. He's in 38th. and you can see the rest of the results there. Jimmy Johnson hit the wall. He was running decently. He was running in the top 10, but he hit the wall, had a flat right front tire, had a pit in the final stage, and he ends up finishing 22nd. Overall for NASCAR as an elimination race, this one just, when you're dealing with this format, even though the race was solid, I enjoyed the race. I think the quality of racing was all right. It's just that when you trap yourself in this corner of fishing for entertainment, that's why we have this format. It's for entertainment. It's not really for fairness. It's for entertainment. And then you go back on that by saying Talladega's too much of a wild card to be the elimination race. That doesn't make sense. It's like we're trying to play in between the lines. And this race would have been better as the second race in the round. And it would have been better to see Talladega as the third race. That would have been much better for an elimination style race. Nothing felt intense today. And especially with Formula One being in the country, the United States Grand Prix, they had a fantastic race. If you guys didn't see it, Lewis Hamilton, Kimi Räikkönen, Max Verstappen, all pretty close together at the end. Hamilton trying to go for the championship, trying to lock it up there. Kimi Räikkönen trying to win for the first time in 113 races, which he ended up doing. That definitely outclassed what NASCAR has today. I'm probably going to wait to the end of the season to make the video I want to make when it comes to NASCAR and how I think it should take a lot of lessons from Formula One right now. I just don't want to bring any negativity right now. I don't feel like talking about it or bringing any bad energy right now during the season. I'll just do it at the off season and do it then. Because when I was watching that Formula One race, hands down, from pre-race to the broadcast to the professionalism to just everything about it, it was just handled so well. And yes, the Formula One cars are not the best right now, but they're working on it for the future, especially that 2021 car and that package that they're going to bring out. They're working on it. So I would say today that race probably was definitely much more exciting. I think a lot more people watched that race as well. And so for NASCAR, not the best of elimination races. Chase Elliott, though, their star driver, the guy that they should market the most. If NASCAR was pretty smart, they gotta market Chase. He's the one that will carry the sport. So let's see if they do that. He won his third race. It's something I predicted when he got one. He would continue to roll on. Just maybe not with the current Hendrick Motorsports setup. Got to get the cars a little bit faster. But let me know what you guys thought of the race. Let me know what you thought of... I know there was an uncontrolled tire penalty that was not called. I think it was on Clint Boyer. I'm not exactly sure. But I'm just looking on Twitter, and there's some controversy about that. I think I've seen a clip of it where the tire gets towards the pit wall, and it kind of gets loose, and it's not within arm's length, and they don't call anything. To be honest, I'm not surprised. It's NASCAR. It's inconsistency, but maybe they have some sort of ruling for it. Whatever the ruling is, if it's not within arm's length, I'm going to look at them and be like, yeah, that should have been a penalty, but whatever. Again, it just kind of felt like a flat day. I don't know. Everything felt flat. There was a lot more excitement around the United States Grand Prix. I definitely felt that as well, and so this one just felt flat, even though Chase Elliott won. Just not enough. I need this one to be Talladega. So let me know what you guys think about everything. The race, would you want Talladega as the elimination, race? Did you watch the Formula One race? Did you enjoy it? Just all that, because I just, I'm interested about it. So comment down below. If you guys like the video, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, never seen me before, make sure you subscribe, go on the channel, watch some videos. Hopefully stay around, please. So click the subscribe button, por favor. I will see you guys later. I'm going to try to do a race preview for Martinsville, because that will be one of the best races remaining of the season. Martinsville is always awesome, and I'm very glad we're going to be going back there. And it's a pretty good race to kick off the round of 8 to see who can get into the championship round. So expect that. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Hope you're having a great day. Peace out.
I can't change. Even if I tried, even if I wanted to, and I can't change. Even if I tried, my love, she keeps me warm.